So this year I have an overabundance of blackberries. As you can see, my plants have just really done well. I have to fight the grasshoppers for them though. So today we're going to make some blackberry jam. So one of the first things you need to do is get your jars washed and ready to go. And I like to save interesting jars. This one was from honey. In fact, most of these were from honey. So they're kind of fun. Then I also saved the peanut butter jars when they get empty. And my daughter loves Nutella, so we always have lots of those. And anyway. So the next thing we're going to do is kind of sort through our berries, make sure we're not making any bugs into jam. Get them in here and then rinse them off a bit. Alright, so now you need to mash your berries up a little bit. I like using an immersion blender. Some people don't like theirs mashed up that much, so you kind of just have to decide for yourself. So now we need to put in the lemon juice. It calls for fresh lemons, so I use my nifty citrus juicer. You need to have 1/4 of a cup, but my measuring cup is actually 1/3, just so I have enough room to work with. And then we're going to stir this into the berries. And we have 3 1/4 cups of crushed berries. So first I transfer the berries to a pan. The reason being that after you put the sugar in, you need to heat it up a little bit to get the sugar to dissolve. And the reason I use this right now is to measure. So I needed 3 1/4. And then we're going to stir in our pectin. And this is the brand that I like to use. It always works. I've tried other ones and they're not always successful. So you have to make sure that this doesn't get all clumpy. Sprinkle it on, stir it in, and then sprinkle some more. It takes a few minutes to get this in there. And after you put the pectin in, then you time it for 30 minutes and stir it every 5 minutes to make sure this dissolves good. Alright, we need 4 1/2 cups of sugar, and all good cooks know that you never measure your ingredient right into your container, right into your food. We are going to put it in a separate container first. Sometimes I lose track, you know. I want to make sure I've got 4 1/2 cups, not 3 1/2, not 5 1/2. So there's 3, 4 1/2. All right, our 30 minutes are almost up. There we go. Now it's time to put in the sugar. So I had a friend a few years ago when I was teaching her to make jam, and she just dumped the whole bowl of sugar in, and she had the hardest time getting it mixed in. So you don't want to just dump it in. You want to slowly pour it in and stir while you're pouring so that you don't have a great big lump of sugar somewhere. After you get your sugar in, then you can go ahead and turn your burner on to low and heat it up just lukewarm. You just want to get it warm enough that the sugar dissolves. Doesn't have to be very warm. Alright, so the sugar's all dissolved. I'm going to put it back in this because it's easier to pour into the jars. And then we will have some beautiful blackberry jam all ready to give to the neighbors. I like to get plenty of jars ready just so I make sure that I have enough. It actually makes 7 cups, so you could figure that out if you didn't want to wash extra jars. But I had enough berries that I made a second batch, so I'm going to use all of these jars today. Then after you fill your jars, put your lids on and you let it sit out on the cupboard for 24 hours. And then it's freezer jam, so you either put it in the freezer and keep it for a year, or you can store it, put it in your fridge for up to 3 months. Okay, so this is what we got from our first batch. That's pretty impressive. And we had a sweet neighbor who gave us a loaf of homemade bread, so we can have some homemade bread and jam. And since our kids are all grown, nobody here to lick the spoon, so I guess I'll have to do that. So happy cooking!